We had another local interest story that I wanted to touch on, and this one isn't, local to the Tampa Bay area, but it is local to our state and not all that far away, and that's the triple murder that occurred in Frostproof on late Friday night.
Bad one.
That sounds terrifying.
It really does sound terrifying, doesn't it? 3 young men were heading out to go fishing at, I think it's Lake Streety in Frostproof, and this is about 70 miles south of Orlando, Frostproof, Lake Wales area. And anyway, one of them apparently got to the spot where they're going to meet up and go fishing. They were going catfishing late at night. Got there early, and I don't know if some people were lying in wait for an ambush, but something happened. And then the other 2 friends, these are all young men, 30 years old and under. The youngest one was 23. So these are young guys going fishing late at night, Friday night. And so the other 2 pulled up to the scene and saw their buddy getting basically beaten very severely, bludgeoned. Right. You can only imagine. Well, then the attackers turned on those 2 young men, and all 3 of them were brutally killed. Now, what one of them is a very sad story when you really think about it. If you think about the human part of this and just what was going on, one of the young men actually had the wherewithal, was still alive, and was able to call his dad, who was not too far away, and basically was only able to say help through the phone. But the dad knew where the kids were meeting up, and I say kids, they're young men. The dad knew where the men were meeting up and going fishing, so he hurried over there in his car. Can you imagine? I'm not a parent, but can you imagine coming onto this scene for a parent?
The drive there.
Anyway, got there. Son was still alive somewhat, and was able to talk to his dad. Of course, then the dad realized that he had left his cell phone at home, which, you just, sad story. I'll tell you what, really sad story. You think about the feelings this guy was feeling.
And what about Sheriff Judd?
Well, Grady Judd's always good for a press conference, isn't he? But he said this is the most brutal murder scene that he's ever seen in his time as a sheriff. So, you can only imagine what the scene looked like. And they got some information, so they're looking for multiple suspects. I don't know if they know who. They're not releasing a lot of information, as would be smart right now to not release it while they're trying to hunt these guys down.
And like you said, guys, plural. I did believe that I heard that it was multiple people who were involved in this. Is that something you heard as well?
Yeah, multiple people supposedly. You would think they would have to be to take down that many people. 3 people at once, basically. But it sounds like some kind of execution, something that was planned. Now, question is, were they planning to get all 3 of them? Were they just going after the one who was there originally? Who knows, right? And I suppose maybe we'll figure all this out. But this is a very remote area, so this is not like some people who just ran into these young men at the convenience store or something. This area is very, very remote, basically out on a clay dirt road. So it's not even a paved road going out to one of these lakes in the center of the state. So anyway, very sad story. Wanted to just bring that to you. You just never know what can happen, I guess, and particularly in today's world, where it seems like people are becoming more comfortable with getting violent with the fellow men over different things, including lately it looks like political disagreements. Now, there's no reason to think this has anything to do with that. This is probably something else.
What if we find out it was a random where he came up on possibly a drug pickup?
Possible, yeah.
And he just came into the area and they had to get rid of him.
Well,
what if we find out something like that?
That may be what we learn. It could be something like that. there's got to be something to the story here. And I guess as they try to track these guys down. And the other thing is, with all of the cell phone tracking that we have, why can't they? We know they're tracking all of us pretty much all the time.
Yeah, I always wonder that too.
Why can't they just pinpoint whose cell phones were pinging in the area? And maybe the answer is these killers didn't take their cell phones with them. I don't know. But, usually these people are not that bright. You look at the guy that, killed the guy in New York City, his boss. These people, he bought I don't know. Did you hear that story about the young entrepreneur who got killed by his personal assistant, apparently?
And they caught him on the camera. They couldn't tell it was him because he was in this suit and he had a mask over his face, of course. That's another thing is right about now it's easier to get away with stuff because people wearing masks. It would be harder to identify. But I forget what was the big tell. There was something that made it so easy for him to get caught?
Well, this little personal assistant bought the circular saw that he was using to cut up the body with a credit card. You
That's
know,
right.
so I mean, criminals are just kind of dumb. They can track that stuff very easily back to you. Thank you for listening to the Morgan Streetman Show. We hope you enjoyed what you heard, and if you did, please click like and subscribe to help us out. And remember that we recommend that you exercise your brain at least once a week.